At this time, I would like to invite the former mayor of the city of Walnut, Tony Cortejena, to join me up the stage, please. Carlene Quinto, I hope Carlene is in the room. Please join me. All the Doctors Association, Filipino Doctors Association, please join me up the stage, please. All the officers of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Southeast Corridor, please join me. Gloria Rule from the Asian Business Association of Orange County, please join me. Neil Estrada from the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Orange County. Mateo and all the officers of the California Filipino Chamber of Commerce, please join me. Okay. Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of South Bay, please join us up the stage, please. The Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Los Angeles, please join us, please. Raciel Arciaga, Asian Business Association of Inland Valley, please join us. All the officers of the Philippine Independence Day Foundation, please join us, please. Z and Mrs. Contreras, please join us, please. Arthur Pablo, please join us. Glenda Marquez and Ricardo De La Torre, please join us, please.
Ranking Member Maxine Water, Chairman Ed Royce, Assemblyman David Hadley, Assemblywoman Kim Yang, dignitaries, guests, friends, magandang gabi, good evening, at mabuhay. Mabuhay. Good. It is a great honor and privilege for me to introduce my longtime friend, a champion of Filipino Americans, and our voice in U.S. Congress. U.S. Representative Ed Royce of Fullerton serves California's 39th Congressional District, which encompasses parts of Orange, Los Angeles, and San Bernardino counties. He is chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and has served in that role since January 2013. As one of our nation's leading representatives to foreign governments, Chairman Royce is a strong advocate for the Filipino-American community and U.S.-Philippines relations. As chairman, he has led multiple bipartisan congressional delegation trips to the Philippines and participated in relief efforts in Tacloban after Typhoon Haiyan. On another occasion, he met with President Aquino, now ex-president, and other cabinet officials. During their meetings, Representative Royce pushed for eradicating corruption, both on the federal and local government. Representative Royce sits on two House Financial Services subcommittees, Capital Markets and Government-Sponsored Enterprises in Housing and Insurance. He has served as a Republican negotiator for some of the most significant legislation in the financial services arena. including the Dodd-Frank Act, and is a leading proponent of housing finance reform. Representative Royce has consistently earned honors and awards from the National Taxpayers Union, Citizens Against Government Waste, National Federation of Independent Businesses, Watchdogs of the Treasury, American for Tax Reform, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, American Bar Association, Financial Services Roundtable, United Seniors Association, 60 Plus, American Shareholders Association, Citizens for a Sound Economy, and the Small Business Survival Committee. A California native, Royce is a graduate of the California State University Fullerton School of Business Administration. Prior to entering public service, his professional background includes experience as a small business owner, a controller, a capital projects manager, and a corporate tax manager for a Southern California company. He and his wife, Marie, are longtime residents of Fullerton, California. Please join me in welcoming U.S. Representative Chairman Ed Royce.
Thank you, Tony Cartagena. Thank you very much. Let me say a few words, but let me start by saying to Phil Sarno, because Linda Sarno played such a major role in assisting this community, our condolences, but also the recognition of just how much she was able to do. And I will just also express our condolences for the family of Vic Mercado as well. Let me congratulate California Journal. After 22 years, Joey and Carlene have done a lot for this community in terms of their efforts. Let me also say to each of you in the community, we have had some successes in terms of the relationship between the Philippines and the United States and our efforts to get reform in the Philippines, and an issue that we had discussed previously, which is the effort to take the case to The Hague in terms of making certain that in the South China and East China Sea, justice was done. That case was unanimous, and many of you will remember that in Manila, I had a press conference 2 years ago supporting that effort of moving that case forward. I will share with you also that the International Justice Mission, many of you know their work against trafficking. We have had a victory in putting the language in the National Defense Authorization Act with respect to the End Slavery initiative that's in that act. I'm on the conference committee. We're trying to keep that in, a coalition of Democrats and Republicans, and Senator Corker is assisting as well. And in terms of programming those funds internationally to fight human trafficking with these groundbreaking reforms, I think it's essential. In terms of some of the other issues which we worked on and which I know Maxine Waters takes great pride in, and Brad as well, was the passage of the legislation on the International Megan's Law Act, which guarantees that in terms of those predators who have molested children, that they can no longer travel overseas to conduct that kind of predatory activity, because now governments around the world are sharing this information to make certain we end this particular kind of trafficking activity. And so this is a bill that was signed into law by the President. I will also share with you that in terms of my priority on the Foreign Affairs Committee, which is trying to reform internationally the practices and end corruption around the world, we had a hearing with the great Peruvian economist Hernando de Soto, who made a very important point, that with the industrious nature of the Filipino people, the one thing that stands in the way is getting the reforms in place that unlock that human potential. And this is a problem that goes back to the Marcos era, when the corruption of the records for land title was first committed, thus making it possible to reward well-connected generals or commodores or political people either inside the country or outside by taking the land of people in the Philippines. And as mentioned, the hearings that we've held, and we've held two now at Cal Poly Pomona, we had the director of USAID, Director Shaw, out to talk about this issue, but we also had 5 members of Congress there for a hearing. Over 600, actually it was over 600, because the university mentioned to us that we exceeded the capacity of the room. Many of you who were there were standing. Turned out on that issue, and we heard the assistant director of USAID for South Asia. We heard his commitment on reprogramming $48 million in funds. Yes, we had pressed the government and then in the Capitol they made reforms. But outside of the Capitol, this is $48 million that the U.S. has reprogrammed in order to try to stop this land grabbing and set right and correct the records so that people will have title to their land. And so this is another very important issue that we're working on. As mentioned also, we've had several delegations go to the Philippines, and I will close with this. One of the things which we were trying to do was to change USAID. And as the Congresswoman knows, we've had a problem for a number of years that if a typhoon hit or a cyclone like at Tacloban, we would wait 5 weeks for aid to arrive because it was shipped in containers from the United States, shipped in our cargo. And so the reform that I pushed through allows that aid to be purchased locally, for example, in the Philippines. And so after the last cyclone, I went to the Philippines and visited Tacloban with a delegation, and we actually saw the results of buying the food locally in the Philippines and delivering that food in real time so that people did not go without food, so that people did not starve. This is a very important change in the law, not only for the Philippines, but worldwide. And it was a compromise we pushed through that in times like times of emergency allows us to take that action. So we will continue to work in a bipartisan way. I run my committee in a bipartisan way as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We will continue to work for stronger relations between the United States and the Philippines, but also with a long-term understanding that to really empower the people of the Philippines, we have to have the rule of law. We have to have this land grabbing process ended. We have to have justice for the Filipino people so that we can unlock that economic vitality that you see so prevalent here in the United States, so that people can expand their businesses, know they have access to their property, and we can end the practice of land grabbing once and for all. Thank you all very much.